7 seconds is all it took. 7 horrifying seconds to end 4 young lives. Kate Goodchild, Luke Dorsett, Roozi Araghi, Cindy Lowe, all killed when their raft tipped over on the Thunder River Rapids ride at Dreamworld nearly 2 years ago. It was a tragedy that profoundly shocked the nation. But for one woman in particular, the horror of that day is almost unimaginable. Kim Dorsett was on holiday at the Gold Coast with her family. Both her children, Luke and Kate, died in the accident. Tonight, for the first time, Kim's search for the truth about what happened that day and how, amidst all the horror, an act of extraordinary courage saved the life of her 12-year-old granddaughter.
Well, Kim, here we are. I can't imagine what you're going through right now.
On the inside, I'm screaming. It's hard. It's very difficult to be here.
Should we go in?
Sure.
After you.
This is a mother's story. The story of Kim Dorsett, who lost not one, but 2 of her adored children here at Dreamworld in a sudden and senseless tragedy.
Is it surreal being here?
It is. Actually, yeah. It's like somebody else is here, yeah. Not me.
In just over an hour's time, Australia's biggest theme park will be open for another day of family fun. Something Kim misses every single day.
Makes me quite anxious to be here. I get quite stressed at the rides and people hopping on the rides. But that's my nightmare, not theirs.
Kim's nightmare began on October 25, 2016, on the Thunder River Rapids ride. Kim's daughter, 32-year-old Kate Goodchild. Kim's son, Luke Dorsett, who was 35. His partner, Roozi Araghi, 38. And New Zealand mother, Cindy Lowe, were thrown from their upturned raft into the water. All of them died in a matter of seconds, crushed in the ride's machinery.
That's all it took. From when the raft went up, till it was all over. It was 7 seconds. Just 7 seconds. And they could have stopped that conveyor belt in 2.
This was a tragedy that shook the nation to its core. Perhaps because it could have been any of us on that raft on that day. For hundreds of thousands of Australians, me included, a trip to Dreamworld was one of the highlights of the family holiday to the Gold Coast. And the Thunder River Rapids ride was the one we all loved. Kids and adults alike. Just a harmless bit of fun. Or so we thought. They should have come home.
They should have come home. They should have come home. They needed to come home.
Who or what's to blame is yet to be decided. But the questions remain. Could Dreamworld's parent company, Ardent Leisure, have stopped this tragedy from happening? And did they do enough after the accident to try to repair the seemingly irreparable damage to 3 shattered families?
How do you think it was handled? How do you think Ardent Leisure handled that time?
I don't think they handled it very well at all. And if they had to do it again, you would hope they'd do it differently.
The Dorsetts grew up in Canberra, where Kim was a single mum. She also worked 3 jobs to make ends meet while putting herself through Teachers College.
It was tough, but they were worth it. Absolutely, they were worth it. Yeah, so, you know, there was just me and the kids for quite a long time. And I guess they just learned to look after each other.
They were close?
They were very close, very close.
Good mates?
Best mates. Luke, he was just very clever, but he was easygoing, happy. Had a great sense of humour. Loved to draw and loved his music and always loved his music. Loved to go out and dance and have a good time and, yeah, always surrounded himself with friends.
Let's talk about Kate.
Kate, best friend that anyone could have.
Humble mushroom has now become bloody hell, Sarah.
Her and her friends were very close. She was a wonderful daughter that looked after me if ever I was sick or anything.
That's a nice photo.
Yeah, it is a nice photo. Yeah. Long time ago now.
Kate was also a mother with 2 young daughters. Ebony, 12 at the time of the accident, and Evie, just a few months old.
Good mum?
Yeah, great mum. Yeah. She was a young mum, but she was a very good mum.
Yeah. There's a lot of laughing, a lot of goofing around in these photos.
Yeah,
That's what happened, right?
that's right. Yeah, that's what they do.
Luke and Roozi just adored their little nieces. The 2 of them threw Ebony elaborate birthday parties, took her to pop concerts like Katy Perry's in Sydney.
The 2 of them together were the best uncles in the world.
Doting uncles.
They were absolutely doting uncles.
Kim and her family were on the Gold Coast for a wedding and decided to make a holiday out of it. The family were having a ball. They'd already been to Dreamworld twice on this trip and were thinking about going again. But in the days before the accident, something felt wrong to Kim. A sense of foreboding she couldn't quite put a finger on.
So, Kim, you had a premonition.
I did. I felt really uneasy about the day before or maybe on the Sunday, that something was going to happen. I remember waking up and so just had an uneasy feeling, but never in my wildest dreams did I think something was going to happen to the kids or anybody I knew. Just that, something wasn't quite right.
On that fateful Tuesday, the family was still deciding whether to return to Dreamworld or go somewhere else.
They tossed up whether to go there or to go to SeaWorld. And then, I don't know who said what, but someone just said, we're just going to Dreamworld. So, toss of a coin.
It's these choices that decide
I know.
everything.
Absolutely.
The Dorsett clan set off for Dreamworld. There's Kim's daughter, Kate, and her partner, Dave Turner. Their children, 12-year-old Ebony and baby Evie. And with them, Kim's son, Luke, and his partner, Roozi.
You weren't going to go.
No.
You decided to stay
I went
home.
shopping instead.
Right.
And, I decided not to go.
Everyone's excited about the day ahead. But once again, Kim feels something's just a little different.
They all took that time to say goodbye that morning.
You hugged them.
Yeah. I don't know why, but Roozi got out of the car to let me out, and he just gave me a hug and said, have a good day, we'll see you later. And he's never done that before. And Kate blew me a kiss and Ebony blew me a kiss, and strange. I guess that's the tough thing, that, they all got into the car and left, and then 3 of them just never came back. And I live that moment forever.
Tuesday, October 25, 2016. Dreamworld is busy as always. The Dorsett family, Luke and his partner Roozi, Kate and her partner Dave, and their 2 daughters, 12-year-old Ebony and baby Evie, know just where they're going: the Thunder River Rapids. It's one of the more gentle rides in the park, a 5-minute journey on rapid flowing water in a raft that takes 6 passengers. Perfect for families with young kids, The only danger, getting a bit wet.
Oh, I've been on that ride. I've been to Dreamworld several times. It means so much to everyone, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
And they loved that ride. Ebony loved that ride. Kate loved that ride. So did Luke.
But when the family arrives, they discover the ride is out of action. A pump has broken down for the second time that day, and engineers are scrambling to fix it.
The ride was closed. So they did all the other rides and everything else. They had Evie with them. Then they went and had lunch.
It's just before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and Kate, Luke and Roozi see that the ride is back up and running. They're all excited, Ebony especially. It's their favourite ride. They join the queue, and as fate would have it, there's another family in front of them who are waiting for someone else to join them. And they let the Dorsett family take their place in the queue and into the next raft.
There was a bit of to and froing between Dave and Kate as to who was going to go on the ride. Anyway, then Dave looked after Evie while they went on the ride.
So Dave looked after Evie?
Yeah, she was in the pram, yeah.
And Ebony must have been so excited.
She was.
Minutes later, the pump breaks down for the third time that day, and the water level in the river begins to drop. Bouncing down the river in their raft, the little group has no idea what lies ahead.
The raft in front is stuck on the conveyor belt. There's still almost a minute before the Dorsett's raft will arrive. And there's an emergency button that can stop this ride in just 2 seconds. But that button is never pushed.
As their raft is carried back to the top, just metres from where they would get off, it collides with the raft in front and flips backwards. Kate, Luke, Roozi, Cindy Lowe, her son Kieran and Kate's daughter Ebony are hurled from their seats into the water, and all 4 adults are caught in the grinding wooden sleepers and steel chains below.
Breaking news from Dreamworld on the Gold Coast now. 4 people have died on the Thunder Rapids ride this afternoon.
I was in the unit and I'd been packing stuff and then picked up my phone and realised I had 6 missed calls. So I started to panic a bit, thinking something must have happened to Ebony. And I rang Kate. There was no answer. So I rang Dave and there was no answer. And I rang Luke and there was no answer. And I rang Roozi and there was no answer. And then I just didn't know what to do. And then 2 policemen came and told me that it was the 3 of them, which was just surreal. Just absolutely surreal. You know, thinking that you'd lost one, but to realise that you'd lost all 3 of them was in a dream world. Like, I just couldn't comprehend how you could go to a park and not come home.
Kate, Luke and Roozi are dead, along with New Zealander Cindy Lowe. The 2 children, Kieran and Ebony, have somehow survived.
Almost a miracle that anybody came out of that.
But Ebony's life has not been spared by a miracle, but by an extraordinary act of heroism. In his last moments, Luke saves the life of his adored young niece.
I think he realised what was happening, I suppose, and he saw Ebony falling and he grabbed her, steadied her, and then pushed her off the side.
Saved his niece.
Saved his niece, absolutely. He did. The first thing he thought about was saving her, looking after her, making sure she was okay. It was over and done with so quickly. It just went up and that was it.
Alerted by Ebony's screams, Kate's partner Dave rushes to the scene.
Dave just jumped through and jumped in to grab Kate. And he just hung on to Katie and then just kept apologising to me that he didn't save Luke as well, but he couldn't let her go, and it must be awful for him that he didn't save one of them, but he just couldn't let Katie go.
Kim arrives to find that 12-year-old Ebony has survived the accident, but witnessed the deaths of her mother and 2 uncles.
She was just screaming and people were looking after her. Or Dave was looking after Kate. I guess she was just in shock. And all she was worried about was me. Are you okay? Are you okay, Nanny? And holding my hand, and it just was so sad that Mummy had gone in the water and she couldn't find her. And it's just so sad. Her little face, and it was just terribly sad. And it was just awful, just awful.
We want to get to that breaking news. There was a deadly accident.
It's a theme park tragedy. It happened overnight.
Dreamworld, a place this morning of nightmare.
News of this tragedy is now reverberating around the world.
This was one of the star attractions at Australia's big...
Almost everyone who's been to a big amusement park has been on or at least seen a ride like this one.
And in the days that follow, an outpouring of public grief. The Dreamworld entrance becomes a carpet of flowers and candles.
It's just such a sad incident. We're just thinking of the family today.
This is having a deep and emotional effect on a lot of people.
Hundreds write messages of love and support on a makeshift memorial in the form of a large toy soldier.
Just tears your heart apart.
But just 48 hours after the accident, Dreamworld's parent company, Ardent Leisure, held its annual general meeting and compounded the tragedy for the grieving families.
I'm a mother. I have a family. I take my family to Dreamworld. This could have been my family, and I'm completely sympathetic to what they must be going through.
Chief Executive Deborah Thomas, a well-known and respected former women's magazine editor, was clearly shaken by the tragedy. But she'd just been awarded a $167,000 cash bonus.
We are all shattered by this. This is not something that you deal with very easily. So right now, I do not want to discuss transactions at this point.
Thomas quickly promised to donate the money to charity. But for Kim Dorsett watching on television, it just got worse.
We've reached out to the families. We've finally made contact with the Dorsett family, and we are talking with them today about how we may assist. We're doing this through the police liaison officer.
I don't know what they were thinking, but she had said that she'd spoken to the family members. I think I did get a bit annoyed at that because I knew that wasn't true. I think that Deborah was put in a pretty awkward situation. Being the front man to have to deal with this when, you know, she was in Sydney in her office when this happened.
When the inquest into the Dreamworld tragedy began earlier this year, Kim Dorsett attended every day. She'd lost not only her 2 children, Kate and Luke, but also Luke's partner, Roozi. She felt she owed it to them to understand what happened, even if it meant sitting through shocking CCTV images of the accident.
Well, put it all in perspective. I was then able to understand what happened, how it happened, because you saw the pumps go out and you saw the water level drop. Then you saw them coming down the conveyor belt, and then the 2 rafts hit. They hit the raft in front. Then they hit it again, and then they hit it again, and as they hit it the last time, the raft in front tipped their raft slightly, and the conveyor belt grabbed the raft and sent it vertical. Yeah. And I owed that to my kids so that I would know what happened.
But one thing Kim still struggles with is the time it took for this tragedy to unfold and how it could have been stopped.
What have you since learned about what happened that day?
I guess the big thing that sticks in my mind is that if anyone would have pushed that button to stop that conveyor belt, anybody, that's all they had to do was to push that button. My kids would still be here.
Witnesses would later say it took just 7 seconds between the raft flipping and the senseless deaths of 4 innocent people.
How often do you think about those 7 seconds?
About every 7 seconds, because that's all it took. From when the raft went up till it was all over. It was 7 seconds. My Katie was first out, and Luke was last out, and I can't imagine what those 7 seconds were like for him, because he would have seen everything that happened. And he must have been terrified, just terrified. I just hope that he realised that he'd saved Ebony and that she'd got off that ride and she was going to be okay, that she wasn't going to go too. But, 7 seconds, it's just 7 seconds. And they could have stopped that conveyor belt in 2.
Now, Kim visits her children every week here at a Canberra cemetery.
Katie and Luke.
Your 2 children.
And Roozi.
And Roozi. 3 children.
3 of them, yeah.
He was like a son to you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The 3 musketeers, really. They're always together.
Yeah.
Always out having fun together. I guess it's my way of still looking after my children is to come and look after their grave so that you still feel that you have that responsibility for them. Because I miss being a mum.
Yeah.
Very much. Good girl.
Kim takes comfort from continuing with one of Kate's great passions, Staffy Rescue, which saves and tries to rehome abandoned Staffordshire Bull Terriers.
There is a swelling storm.
She loved her Staffies?
She did. She had 2, George and Charlotte, named after the prince and princess.
We watch as our young hearts fade.
Is this part of your healing?
Yeah, because it means that there's something of her left behind that's doing good for the animals, and yeah, it is.
That's nice.
It's important.
'Cause it comes and goes in waves and carries us away.
More than a year and a half after the Dreamworld tragedy, the crowds are starting to come back. Families enjoying a peaceful day in the sun. And one woman with a lot of courage, trying to make peace with the past.
Alex Cullen with that report.